Hey you guys, this is Kevin Potter from Potter USA, and a lot of you guys know us for our pancake dies. So I've never really done what I would call the official pancake die video. There's a lot of videos out there showing how to use them, and just like anything, you can push the boundaries and push the limitations, but this is the official video of what we designed these dies to do. So what a pancake die is, for those of you who don't know, this is sort of the red-headed stepchild of the die world. These are very simple, inexpensive dies that will punch out your parts. This one punches out a ring shank, this one punches out a flower, this punches out this Thunderbird bracelet, and then this one will do a feather bracelet. It saves you a lot of trouble sawing. But like any tool, there are limitations. When we design these dies, they are good for certain gauges of metal. If you put too thick of a piece of metal in it, you'll damage the die. The limit for a simple design is probably 16 gauge. Most of these dies prefer 18 to 20 gauge. If you put too thin of a piece of metal in it, it will get stuck between the edge of the die because the gap, the cutting edge, is not tight enough. But if I make the cutting edge tighter, then you can only cut thin metal. You'll only be able to cut 24 gauge and under. So the realistic limit of these dies is between 16 gauge and 22 gauge, which is a huge range, and that's perfect for jewelry making, for most things that people want to do. So I'm going to demo one. One of the things that a lot of people mess up on is they think their metal should be annealed. Don't ever anneal your metal before you punch it. It will get stuck in the die. It needs to be hard. The metal should be hard. So this is a piece of 18 gauge. And we're going to start off with the Thunderbird. So what you do, place your metal right in there like that, between it. And then you put the piece in your press. Now this is really important. It must be centered. This is the absolute biggest die we make. It will not fit all the presses. It is designed to work with the standard 20-ton press. And it's very important that you put your piece in the center of the press, front to back and side to side. And you're going to use these aluminum spacers. Okay, you put it in the press like that. It's very important that the die is completely covered. Do not attempt to punch half of the die and then punch the other half. You will bend your die. It's going to do it all at once in one shot. All right, there, this was an 18 gauge. There's absolutely no reason to make a 24 gauge or a 22 gauge bracelet. None. So don't do it. This comes right off like that. And then this little tab here, just grab it, pull it out. Now, this is on this side. I just push them out with my fingers, my thumbs like this. And lift your part out. And there you go. You'll have to trim these, but that's pretty easy to do. Whenever you cut anything, you're going to get a small burr. Can't help it. There's going to be a burr. So you're just going to have to file them off. But that's just part of being a metalsmith. All right, I'm going to do the absolute most difficult die we ever made. I've taken this down off the website numerous times, but you guys seem to love it, so we keep it up there. These little tight areas cause problems. They make it very difficult to remove the part from the die. Anytime a die has tight areas, lots of detail, it makes it really difficult to remove it. So you got to be careful. Don't just fight it. So once again, we put our piece in there. This is 18 gauge. Put it in the center. Cover the entire piece. Okay. There's a good chance I'm going to actually have to struggle with this. Oh, no, it cut it. We're okay. So I'm going to just kind of wiggle the whole part and gently, wow, it worked. And gently take it out. I'm actually surprised because this is a really hard die. The reason these dies have two flaps, it helps prevent distortion in the die. And also we've increased the thickness of the die and the top header width, the top of the die. It stops it from bending. Sometimes I don't have the strength to even push it out. So what I'll do, I'll use my dead blow hammer. Don't use a metal hammer, it's a rubber hammer. Out comes the feather. I'm going to use 22 gauge. This is the absolute thinnest gauge of metal one should ever use in a pancake die. So here we go. This is a really complicated die, this little flower. So we're going to put it in there. And just because this thing is long, don't put your die out here on the edge of the press. You want to put it in the middle. Cut it nice and clean. And there's our piece. This is a little flower. These are usually kind of tough, but did a nice job. Once again, this copper is 22 gauge, fully hard. You can get away with half hard too, but the thinner you go, the harder the metal needs to be. Here's a piece of brass. There's some brasses out there on the market that have the consistency of cheese, and they are absolutely terrible in pancake dies. And some of the big jewelry supply houses do sell this stuff, and it's called jeweler's brass. And what it is, it's got a lot of zinc in it, and it literally has the consistency of cheese. This is a normal brass. It's a lot harder, a little bit springier. Once again, we have a nice piece, a couple little burrs, nothing serious, easily taken care of with a little sanding disc in your Fordham. This is sterling, fully hard, fresh off the rolling mill. Do not anneal it. It will get stuck in the die. So we're going to review real quick. These are pancake dies, and they are good for metals that are between the gauges of 22 and 16. You cannot cut ferrous metals with them. You can only cut copper, silver, brass, gold, bronze, nickel. I've seen niobium. You're not going to cut titanium with it. You can cut aluminum with it. You're not going to cut steel. You're not going to cut stainless, iron. None of that's going to cut with it. So check out our website, and if this looks like something you can use, give us a call. Thanks for watching.